We're out in Avinger, Texas to check out this 40 by 60 blacked out metal building. It's bold, it's big, and it's built like a fortress. Let's check it out. Welcome backpack. This is Admiel from Wolfsteel Buildings, and we got Ed in the background. Ed, welcome to Avinger, Texas, man.
Man, I'm excited for this building. From seeing it on the way here, it's insane. I love it.
Especially in the entrance, man, it's just spectacular. We're looking at something that's big, bold, and definitely built like a fortress right out here in Avinger, Texas. Beautiful landscape. That's one of the things I like about East Texas. It's just like there's a lot more vegetation. It's just a lot more different types of trees. We got like a lot of pine trees, and it's just beautiful. It's spectacular where we are, and I know you're seeing some of those B-roll shots. It's spectacular, and we definitely have, again, a spectacular landscape with a spectacular metal building that we're about to walk through and talk about. It's all blacked out. We're going to talk about painted frames. We're going to talk about the inside, because our client did say, hey, maybe you should come a little bit later whenever there's less construction. I'm like, no, we want to show the process. So it's still under construction. There's still a lot of things that still need to be done. And we're not doing the inside. Our client's doing everything in the inside, but we'd love to show you the work he's doing to give you guys ideas what you can do with your metal building, okay? Now, before we do that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hit that notification button, because we got, Ed and I been on these road trips because we got a bunch of really cool projects and you don't want to miss out. Yeah. And Ed, you ready for this?
Man, let's get going, man. Let's do
get
this.
Going. It's hot inside. I know in the inside it's cooler, and that's where we're going. Let's go. Alrighty, guys, before we go and talk about this all blacked out metal building, which I'm actually dressed up for, even the landscaping I match with my shorts. Let's talk about the process, or how did our client find us? I know that was something that was very interesting. So our client actually watched us on YouTube, and he really liked the work, kind of like what you're doing. If you're watching YouTube and you like our work, he then went on to our website, and I know we have two designers. We have our tubular designer, but we also have a red iron designer. They're not built the same. Tubular definitely has different features that are different than our red iron. Our red iron has other features that you can't get in tubular. This is a red iron. This is everything is up to the top of a metal building, okay? So that's our red iron product, and this is a weld up, which we're gonna talk a little bit more about how I love weld connections. So our client found it, he designed the building, and it was a preliminary design. He submitted it. And I wanna give a shout out to Ernesto. I know you're not in sales anymore, but he helped our client. And then from there, we started working with them to design it through our architectural, and especially a project like this, where you're gonna be, building some spaces in the inside. You want a great game plan, so that way when you're out here, you're just executing. You're constructing on paper and you're executing. That was a little bit of the story for this project, how it all started.
Awesome, heck yeah. And then one thing, obviously you mentioned the landscape, and there's a lake back there. Why would a client pick and choose something like here? What was it? Like a retreat? What would it be for?
Yeah, so this is like a weekend cabin, or like a getaway cabin, a retreat area. So it definitely feels that way. You're out here, nobody's bothering you. You got the lake, you get your boat, you go out fishing, or you just go out and wakeboard, surfboard, whatever you want to do. So definitely, this is definitely like a retreat area for our client. So that's the purpose of this, and man, I would want to come here.
Heck yeah. Now, Abdel, I know what everybody wants to know. Give us the dimensions, the specs of this awesome.
Well, look at this fortress, okay? So we're looking at a 40 wide, okay? That's 40 wide. Your width is always going to be where the peak is, okay? Unless you have a single slope. I know we got a couple of single slopes coming up, so stay tuned for those. Shout out to Adam, who's always watching our channel, and you got a single slope badass building that's coming out. I was just checking out the engineer plans this week, so I'm super excited for your project too. Hopefully we get that on our channel. It's a single slope, and the width is basically for a pitch roof, like a gable roof. It's going to be where you have the gable. Okay, so this is 40 wide, and then we got 80 foot long. 60 foot of that length is enclosed, and then we got 20 foot that is open. Okay, so what we call this section here, come on a little bit closer, what we call this section here is like a gable extension. Some people in our industry call it like a utility little section. So, but basically it's a gable extension, and a lot of times what this is commonly used for is kind of like, you can see the chairs there, you relax, just kind of hang out, grill out, cook out, have a little bit of shade, which is really what we're getting right now. Or sometimes it's just a quick way to park your vehicle or utility storage, something like that. Something different than just a lean-to that has one single pitch one way. Now we do have 18 foot to the eaves. It's freaking massive, okay? I know we got a 512 pitch, which is another thing that you're looking at, the pitch. Because our standard pitches are 312s, that's just our standard. If you want a higher pitch, it just makes your building stand out. And also, not just aesthetically, but it gives you a lot more higher clearance. And then three, it also is better for like heat, because you can keep your roof higher where, you know, because all heat rises and then it's beating down from the sun. You get a little bit more of space between the roof and you. So that's what I love about 512 pitches, which is really spectacular.
It's insane.
Now I know something that you guys are looking at is the painted frames, okay? Obviously it gives you an aesthetic because red iron buildings are red, okay? Red iron, red, okay? And then especially we prime them with the red primer. It's like a rust protection, so it does, you know, protect from rust. But painting over that is an extra layer of protection from rust as well, okay? So that's the advantage of paint, not just aesthetically, but also from rusting. And especially, look at this aesthetic, man. It's just all blacked out, matching the metal building. And that also means all the purlins that we have on the top, the channels, and those are all painted all blacked out. So I know there's a lot of questions like, man, this is black. Is it gonna be really hot in there? Is it? Well, we're gonna check out the inside, but black is definitely gonna be hotter than having a white building, okay? Obviously from the reflection. So black buildings without insulation are definitely hot, so just keep that in mind. But if you're gonna insulate it, it will stand out and it's gonna be okay. And I'm gonna explain a little bit in the inside once we show you guys how it's all and how it feels.
Now, you want to talk about concrete real quick? What kind of concrete are we sitting on right now?
Yeah, so we're actually sitting on 4-inch concrete. Okay, this is residential. 4 inches is sufficient, especially how many internal beams we have. So we have a lot of internal beams. Around every 10 feet, 10 to 12 feet. We have internal beams, and again, those are like beams that are supporting the 4-inch slab. So definitely reinforced. Now, below that, we have concrete piers. Okay, so we have piers going down 12 to 15 feet, going down deeper. And basically this foundation is sitting on top of it, okay?
So why the piers? Why would we add piers to this building?
So this can be very common, especially in areas where grounds are not stable, okay? Dallas-Fort Worth has a lot of that. We have a lot of clay. The other day I heard a different term for it, it's like jumbo. But basically what happens is the first layer of soil on the ground is, like in Dallas-Fort Worth, we have a lot of clay. Those are unstable. When it gets wet and when it dries out, it shifts, it moves. So now imagine just sitting a floating foundation on that layer of soil. You're gonna have a lot of movement. That's why in Dallas-Fort Worth, especially like in the Plano, McKinney area, all that area, it's very unstable. There's typically two ways you can navigate through it. Is one, you can remove all that layer and bring more stable soils, or two, you go deeper. So in this case, what we did is we got piers that went deeper into more solid ground, and then all of a sudden we did a normal footings for this foundation with the 4-inch slab, and it's sitting on top of the piers. So now this foundation is floating on top of these piers that are, you know, in stable ground. So that's how it works. But then again, if you're doing a residential project, you're doing a commercial project, public like a church, plan that you're gonna need an engineer foundation. That's something that we highly recommend, or build a foundation that is up to really engineer standards. And a lot of it also, which is very important, is to understand your soils, okay? Understand your soils. And so typically, if your soils are unstable, you're gonna need piers, okay? Or you're gonna need to do a lot of grading, a lot of excavation work to prep your ground to be stable for a foundation.
Heck yeah. Now moving on, I guess, what kind of panels are we seeing here?
So this is our 26 gauge PBR panel, the best panel you can get in metal buildings. Well, you can actually go to 24 gauge if you wanted to go thicker, okay? But 26 gauge is our standard for red iron, and definitely you can feel the strength of it because it already has insulation on it. But it is 26 gauge. It comes with a 40-year paint warranty. That is something that I want to let the audience know, is like there's so many different paint systems out there. They're from a 10-year, from a 20-year to a 40-year. I know I've seen like where, you know, we're comparing bids or quotes with other builders, but there's no details on the paint. If you're concerned about the materials, one thing to look into is your paint system. A 40-year paint system typically comes with like with a higher quality paint system, which typically the SMP, which if we go into technical, but basically it will resist like fading better. Okay. And then the paint is a little bit more like thicker. Okay. So that's what we've noticed from like 40-year panels. There's some colors that we offer that are lifetime panels, lifetime colors, but not all of them have that. So that's why what we do offer is what we say is the 40-year panel, but that's just because that's our minimum for our red iron. Now, I know you did ask me about about rust.
Yeah.
Okay, so all panels basically are galvanized. And then after that, they go through a system of painting, okay? So that's how it works. And that's from a coil system, they're galvanized already, and then they go through a painting system at a different stage in their process. Awesome. So I know you asked that question.
Yes.
And I know our audience would love to know that.
For sure.
And we also, I want to talk about our base trim. So, man, it's sitting really nice. Our base trim is a secondary insurance to having critters, mice entering your building, and also to redirect water away. Here, because we obviously have a lean-to or a gable extension, no concerns. But on the other edges, the water here is just being redirected. And this is also insurance because not all cement is level. Sometimes cement can go into like small dips, and this helps, you know, to have insurance. And so from a construction standpoint, let me give you a little bit more insight. The way we build, especially on our red iron, this is how we level ourselves. We set the base trim level all the way around, and we go from here up. So we don't base ourselves on the cement, because the concrete foundation can have a little bit of not being level. We level out the base trim, and that's why the panels are sitting right on the panel, and you look all the way around, it's all on a single line. I see. Because we use this to level ourselves and go up from there. So that's just going into technical. Sometimes, guys, it's very hard for me to be very specific because I'm still learning on the talking and the YouTube things. But basically, from learning from our builders, from our team, from being involved in almost all the single process, I'm able to give you guys so much value. Let's talk about this lean-to.
Yes.
So we got a 12 wide, 60 foot long. Okay, so the enclosed section has that 60 foot of a lean-to. We got a connection at the 12 foot portion of it, and then we coming down to 10 foot. So typically for a 12 wide, I recommend a 2 foot drop, 2 foot minimum. We know that in Texas, the rain doesn't go like this, it goes like this. So having a smaller pitch, you can increase the risk of having water coming in. Now, obviously here we have a lot of trees, so it protects a lot from getting strong wind exposure because of the trees, and then also from rain as well. Okay. But just keep that in mind. It doesn't rain like this. It rains like this, and it blows in harder because we get a lot of windy rainstorms. So that's why a 212 pitch is our minimum recommendation for our lean-tos. Okay, but then keep in mind you can customize your lean-to almost any way. We can do continuous lean-to, which is basically going off of the same roof pitch of your main building and just going the same. We can do a step down, which is what we have here. We can do it even, we can do so many customizations. This is another beauty that I love about Red Iron, Ed. Okay, we got 20-foot spacing. There's nothing obstructing because the purlins up top, which we have 8-inch purlins on the roof, are holding the weight of the whole roof. So we only need columns every 20 feet.
Awesome. Talk to us a little bit about the columns as well. I mean, what kind are these as well?
Yeah, so we do have I-beams on our rafters, especially on our lean-tos. If I'm not mistaken, they're like 10-inch, 8 to 10-inch, and then we have 4x4 posts. What we're liking about the 4x4 posts on lean-tos is the fact that it doesn't take up a lot of space here, okay? You can always wrap it as well, a lot easier because it's a square. But a 4x4 post is definitely what we're using. Again, it doesn't take up a lot of internal space. Okay. And that's the reason why we have it. Now, I know you asked about, is that sufficient? Is that strong?
Yeah, would that be stronger? Would it be less stronger? How would you tell?
You can get 4x4 posts in different thicknesses, okay? So that's the beauty of Red Iron, is that compared to tubular, I mean, you can get thicker tubes and stuff, but the whole logistics of it, supply chain, is just gonna be a nightmare. For Red Iron, the logistics of having thicker beams, wider I-beams, thicker posts is very common. Like you can get, especially here in Texas, it's just the logistics, the price there's not a big factor, okay? So it's very common. So all we do is just reinforce the 4x4 post. You can get a 1/4-inch stick. You can get 12 gauge. You can get 5-inch, 5/8 inch. You can get it thicker and thicker and thicker, which makes it stronger.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Right now, these 4x4 posts are the ones that we are using because we really love this. Yeah. And depending the width, we'll get thicker posts, or maybe even go to 6x6. Awesome. Just depends.
Now talk to us about this door. Man, this door is massive. And it's
nice.
We
definitely fabricated this in Weatherford, Texas. We are now offering these type of doors. Just kidding. We don't fabricate doors. So here our client brought in their own door, especially if you're like doing something like this. A lot of times what we offer is not, we don't have a lot of different kinds of doors like these. Maybe different types of windows that you're really imagining, or different types of service doors. Our clients can bring in their own, okay? And that's what they did here. They actually had someone here come and install their own door. And I can tell here, this is like a patio door that basically all opens, this slides all the way through. So yeah, just completely open, beautiful view. Like Fran said, I smell barbecue. Shout out to Fran. Now, our client did install and I know he's gonna still paint it and finish it off. Again, this is still under construction. So don't judge yet. We wanna be back. I know our client said, hey, you should come back whenever whenever I'm complete, when it looks beautiful. Like, yeah, we will come back if you let us. Please let us. And again, you can bring in your own door, because here our client brought in their own door and we installed this door. We didn't install that door, but we did install this specific door. Any questions still up the outside?
I had one question. When you mention, when we talk about windows, that window or the windows that the client brought, what kind of window did he bring, and is it important for me to bring my own windows that I want to choose, or how does that work?
That's a great question. People, that's why I love Ed, because he's asking the questions now that our clients want to know. So if you got any of those questions, leave the comments, okay? Now, all right, so there's a specific type of window, Ed, that we can actually do for like that we recommend for our clients, and it's called a nail fin. Marketing, help us out, okay? I know there's different other types of windows that have a different type of like jam, or I don't know what you call it, but the jam around it. Some that even have like their own J-trim already embedded into the window. Those are very complicated. So nail fin is a type of window that we want, okay? And it just makes it very easy to install because it just has like one flange that is gonna be sitting behind it. The J-trim goes over it, and then the panel up here. So definitely our trim system that we do, this window is just not gonna leak, okay? Which is there's one thing, there's a topic that doesn't get spoken a lot, but just like any industry, it has its challenges.
Yeah.
In this industry, working with metal and making cuts around metal is one of the challenges of craftsmanship in metal buildings. It takes a skill, and it's one of the challenges.
I see.
And why? Because it's sharp, it's not like moldable.
Easy to scratch.
Easy to scratch.
Yeah.
And so to cut metal, it takes a certain type of dedication, like measure twice, cut once type of deal. But the biggest point that I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of potential for leaking, okay? And that potential happens because, again, you're cutting, you're making a cutout, and you need to seal this. One of the things that when you're looking at barn dominiums, 'cause we don't do barn dominiums, but we do shelves, is that if you notice, a lot of windows are under lean-tos or under, wraparound porches, etc.
Yep.
That's because you minimize the chances for leaking, okay? But the way we do it, this trim system that directs the water out here, and then this is under a lean-to, this window is just never gonna leak.
Yeah. I mean, before we go in the inside section, so where would you see most of the leakage?
It's gonna happen right here.
Awesome.
And that's because the water is gonna drain here. But because we have this little kick out here, right here, the water is just gonna drain here. But mostly here, we have a little angle that pushes the water to this corner right here. So that little corner is where the water just starts dripping here.
I see.
So this is not gonna be, and then this is under a lean-to, so.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Now let's
I mean, I'm telling you this because we've gone through the challenges. We've gone through leaking windows. This is any builder will go through. Nobody's gonna bullshit around and say, oh yeah, no, like, we ain't my window. No. This is a challenge of metal buildings. And, we've gone through our challenges, and our slogan is we revamp industry standards. We really started to study what the best are doing, and then we started to implement our own way of doing things. And now the way we do things, that's what Wolfsteel's all about.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I don't have to say much more.
Now
Ready to come in?
Let's go inside. Let's check this thing in.
Man, and it's fresher in here. You can feel the difference. Over there's muggy. You got a Yeti box, and we're inside a Yeti. Like, if you really think about it, this is a Yeti box in here.
Pack! Stay up to date with everything we're up to by checking out our social media. You can find us at Wolfsteel Buildings for behind the scenes actions. We share our latest projects, updates on what the team is working on, and all the exciting progress happening in real time. Don't miss out on the action and give us a follow.